We're so excited to have you here today. Alekz is a longtime Santa Cruz resident who is prolific in helping in emergencies and getting people what they need when there's a crisis.
So this list is different ways you or anybody you talk to about these, you could be an activist. So there's different ways to be an activist. It's not just posting on social media and Facebook. So there's a lot of different things you can do. This is my personal list I put together. So if you think or know that we're in a serious climate emergency, you can be super hardcore and you could actually go out and you can make phone calls to your family and friends and you can talk to them like maybe they have some doubts, you can provide them with some solutions. So phone calls is one of the ways to reach people. Emails is another way. Gail has an email list of 500 people. She's constantly sending out environmental information, current events, and solutions. So she reaches a lot of people. There's Facebook posts, Facebook groups where you can post in groups, and you can reach a lot of people that way. There's Facebook messages where you just forward a message to a large volume of people before Facebook blocks you. There's posting on YouTube, which is a great form of reaching people. You have your video on YouTube, correct? Mm-hmm. So you've used that platform. There's other forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram. There's business cards. Every time I pass out a business card, it could have something related to like maybe an environmental tip or solution on it. Flyers. My flyer to the climate emergency, I don't know if you saw it, but on the back I listed dozens of environmental solutions. So every single one of those I pass out, the environmental energy and resources used to produce this hopefully will be offset by educating people with all of that information. Stickers are another form to reach people, and even if they cause some sort of environmental impact, what we're doing is basically like taking one step back to take two steps forward. Right. In America, we shouldn't have to be trying to educate people about climate change. The government should be doing it. It should be taught in schools like in Europe. We shouldn't be trying this hard, but this is what activists are left with. Otherwise, we're going to continue to see ecosystems collapsing and other detrimental things happening around the world. So we need to continue, because we're all in this together. So hopefully some of these tips help. So there's stickers, bumper stickers. I should have a t-shirt right now that says something related. A hat could say something related to environmental issues, climate change. A money stamp. So I recently bought a stamp and it says climate emergency. So now I stamp all my money with climate emergency to help get this into circulation.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's another way to hopefully reach more people to get it out there.
Yeah.
Community TV, it's on my list. It's right here, Community TV. We're doing this. Newspaper ads are one of the ways. We probably can't afford a commercial billboard, but that's on the list. Megaphones, that's when you actually go out with a megaphone and you repeat
just start
information.
Talking about it.
Yeah, just start talking about it. Just stand at the clock tower or West Cliff, anywhere. Yeah, megaphone. Amplify your voice and talk about solutions. Yell at people. What are you guys doing? Like, we're in an emergency. Act like it's an emergency. Like, let's take action. Music. People reach others through music, through art. Recently, my friends and I, we've been reaching people through Sidewalk Chalk. We've been writing climate emergency, whether it's at Cabrillo College, UCSC, Venice Beach, downtown Santa Cruz by the boardwalk. It's non-toxic, it's cheap, it's environmentally friendly. We do it on the ground. It reaches a lot of people, and it's really effective.
I've seen you guys out on Fridays.
Yeah, and on Fridays.
Pacific in front of O'Neill's.
Yeah, every Friday we meet up in front of O'Neill's.
Yeah.
About 2 to 6, 2 to 7.
Art is such a Santa Cruz thing. It really fits in so well. It's cool to see
and people
you guys
respond
out
to
there.
it really well.
Yeah.
And then we pass out chalk so other people can get involved and write down their feelings and solutions to all of these issues. So Sidewalk Chalk is a really great form of activism. There's street protesting, which Extinction Rebellion does, and sometimes Sunrise Movement, where a large group of people get together. Organizing public events, I guess that's similar to this. Mm-hmm. This would be a public event to get more people together in one location. Printed merchandise, there's a lot of different types of merchandise. Just like if you're a company or a corporation, you're trying to advertise or market something, you could be buying something like that. It could be bamboo straws, and you could have some sort of environmental tip printed right on those. Radio shows, there's a lot of community radio stations around,
K-Squid.
And there's K-Squid here and others around the United States. K-Squid is a wonderful radio station here. Store intercom systems. That'd be like you ended up in Walmart and
You're gonna take over the comms at Walmart.
You could
I
take
love
over the
this.
comms. So what you do is you just ask them to find
awesome.
something they don't know where it's at, and you just like watch what buttons they press, and when they walk away, you just dial it.
Pick up the phone. and
Yeah,
start
you
telling
pick it up, then you gotta like dial their code. You gotta like
Yeah.
You're like, what do you?
Put it over the loudspeaker.
You consumers, yeah.
That's awesome. We should
so-
do that at the Super Bowl. We should like commandeer the comms at the Super Bowl.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah, if we could reach that many people in one intercom, that would be. What else? So I got movies. We probably don't have not all of us have a budget for a movie, like full movie, but you made a movie, and that's on here, and it's now on YouTube.
Okay.
So that's a way to reach people. Plain banners, we can't really do that, but that is a
Buttons.
form of advertisements.
You have buttons on there? Look, I
There
thought of a
should
new
be
one.
buttons.
You
I
should
don't
have
know where I
buttons
have
on
my
there.
buttons. I don't see my buttons
Ah.
on the list.
It
Let's
is a
see.
little tricky. We do have to use petroleum-related products at times.
But this is
And
what
if
we
we
have
didn't
to
do that, like if you imagine if the climate movement got offline, no one would ever. I mean, what are you going to stand in the
Yeah.
corner and like just yell? I mean, it wouldn't be possible. So a little bit, you do have to interact with it because
Yeah,
it's
but
just
being
impossible.
diverse, and having a mix.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
But we
many
can't
things you
even
can do.
plant a tree without driving up there and burning fossil fuels or exhaling CO2. So our whole society is structured to use resources. So
Around.
we're hoping that we direct more of our the resources we use towards making the world a better place in some of these solutions. So I have Zines, magazines, vlogs, books. So I wrote a book which I wouldn't recommend anybody to read. It needs a lot of editing, but it's overall it's a lot of great material. Websites. I have a website, so when people are doing keyword searches, they come up with the website and the information.
Businesses to sponsor.
Business sponsors would be good.
Businesses can sponsor.
Yeah.
Do you find the green community in Santa Cruz is vibrant in terms of like solar companies? I
think it's hit or miss.
Like
It depends on what
bit.
green business we're talking about.
Yeah,
Because there are a lot of green,
There
good
are.
green companies, but then there's
biofuel.
mhm.
Yeah, we just put solar on our house
Altera solar?
a couple years ago, and it is fabulous. And you do feel a little bit better when you leave the light on accidentally or something. And
Very
we're
cool.
making more electricity than we use. We're selling back into the grid.
Yeah,
Not
part
getting
of
as
the
much money
solution.
as we should for it, but I mean, I have family in Scandinavia. They have solar roof tiles.
They're out now?
Yeah, they just
they're
tile
out?
their roof with solar
Cool.
roof tiles, and I mean, they don't really think about it that much over there. It's not controversial
Right.
in Europe,
is here.
and it's just accepted because it's normal.
I think Santa Cruz or the city of Santa Cruz recently passed something that all new home construction designs or business designs had to either have solar or a living roof. And I don't know where I heard that, so don't hold me to it. But that's
it's a good idea.
Good idea.
Yeah,
I think they're doing that in other
right.
counties.
Because the idea is not to stop, using products or energy or anything, but to switch, to be able to switch. And of course, we would be able to do that if we just put our mind to it. And there's great technology out there already to help us do that. It's just kind of a mindset, like you were talking about. We're so caught up in consumerism and, getting to the soccer game and trying to get dinner on for the kids. It's true. These days are so hectic. It's good to think.
Fast pace.
Yeah, fast pace. It's hard to keep up. It's good to think of ways that we can help people interact with it, like you're sharing.
So I think a solution to that, since everything is so fast-paced and we're out of time, is just being conscious. And again, just trying to dedicate a little bit of our time towards educating ourselves. Because then when we're doing stuff, even when we're dealing with a fast-paced lifestyle, we're a little bit more conscious. And it could be just that extra second when you're at a place like Chipotle, and I see people all the time, you have, compostable, recyclable, and trash.
Right.
People just don't even spend that extra second just to think, there's a picture right there. This goes here. I mean, just
Right.
being conscious.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just takes an extra second, and
It's
maybe
true.
if people would just be more conscious, they'd slow down a little bit or care more.
It
It's,
is a mindset, I think, that we
mindset.
need to work through. I had someone say to me the other day, well, I would be fine, switching to a different energy source as long as it doesn't cost me any money and it doesn't, cost me any time. And I was thinking, up until now, all the generations before, they gave their lives to make sure their kids had a better life, to further the future of the culture around them. And now we've gotten to the place where we say, I just don't even care. If it takes me, cost an extra $1, I'm just not even interested. You know, people have died in war, and we've done amazing things and ships and, you know, just to make this society, and now we're in charge of it, and we just have this flippant attitude. So I think more and more when people like you share, people can hear that, you know, to change the collective consciousness.
Collective consciousness. Exactly.
Also, it impacts that. And I think even like the thing you do on Sundays, just getting people there to be able to hear about it and share about it and know about it. That's
Because
so
again,
true.
we have the solutions and we have the technology and we have the money. It's just, we just need to change our consciousness because we've been going the wrong direction in America for a few decades now. And I mean, just that we just go in and we buy stuff plastic, wrapped in plastic and more plastic. And like, people are okay with that. Our consciousness is messed up right now. So we need to get back on track and be more conscious of the future we're creating for ourselves and the future generations of the world, because we're not doing things right now.
You get a plastic spoon wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
It probably came in a bigger plastic container. Yeah, it's a real challenge. But if it's not, if we fail to make the change very quickly, it's, you know, we're already seeing the impacts. I just saw a study that was showing that the weather that we're having is already being impacted by climate change. So if we had another decade of methane emissions, that's going to be a complete disaster. Yeah. So we're so lucky to have people like you that will get up and go out and do it.
Well, we can't give up. We just have too much to lose. Like, we can't just give up. We have to continue to stay strong and keep moving forward and keep trying. And it's not fair for environmental activists and climatologists and people that care, or people that are working on solutions, to dedicate so much of their life to this just to get people to be more conscious. I mean, it shouldn't be this difficult. I mean, when I went to the UN Climate Change Conference in Vienna, Austria, everybody is basically talking with one another, trying to find what the solution is to wake up our society. When I go to Extinction Rebellion meetings, their goal is, how do we wake up our society? When I go to the Grange for climate talks, our goal is always like, how do we just get people to care more? It shouldn't be this difficult for us to care about the earth, like where we live, to care about animals and plants and try to like live sustainably so we all just don't suffer and die. I don't understand why we've taken this long before we even start taking the small steps to address climate change and environmental issues. I'm embarrassed to be an American. I'm embarrassed to be here with not just Trump in office, but our lack of environmental action, and everybody with multiple cars and multiple houses and owning all this stuff, and our landfills are full, and I mean, all the polluted food and the GMOs and everything. It's just,
the water.
It shouldn't. Europe's doing a lot of things right, and so are other countries around the world. But
when I'm out there talking to people, I feel like people just don't get the real threat and danger, and I think that has so much to do with the misinformation campaign that's gone on. People don't understand. Like, oh, it's, you know, it's far away, or, you know, maybe some generations in the future will have problems with it, you know, but we really don't need to worry about it now. If we do not fix it now, all of the children born today will spend the rest of their lives watching life die. That will be the future, watching humanity slowly implode. And
not just that, they're going to be suffering and struggling. It's not just about them watching it. They're going to be going through it. Yeah. I mean, if a child was born today, the average lifespan is what, 60, 80 years old? Do you think that a child born today is going to survive on this planet in 80 years? What do you think it's going to be like? Look at how bad things are right now. And then we have all these people that are denying climate change and saying that it's not real. I just don't understand how there's such a huge contrast. And it's heartbreaking because we have the information, and science has been settled for decades, and isn't it like just better to be safe than sorry? It's like, what?
Why would you want to gamble with humanity? Like big Russian roulette. Right. We're just going to see if we can pull the trigger, and maybe we can load the atmosphere with methane for the next 40 years and it really won't have any impact. When we just saw this past summer, the Arctic had a heat wave, 12 degrees hotter than warming like 3 times hotter than the rest of the planet. Yeah. So I think when people get a hold of how important it is, they want to know. They want to know that that's their future. It's just that this misinformation keeps telling them that everything is just fine.
And so some of those sources of misinformation, because I know Carl Tucker said when I watched him one time, I just couldn't believe, like, he's not a scientist, and he's basically telling people.
Tucker Carlson.
Did I say it? Carl Tucker? Okay.
It was cute how you said it.
See, I don't watch Fox. Okay, cool. That was kind of cute. So there's him, and then there's also Trump and the Trump administration, and there's like some videos. Dan Pena, do you guys know that guy? Dan Pena. If you search his name, he's like a billionaire that like works for the fossil fuel industry and owns all these stocks. There's this woman, I watched this video, it's so heartbreaking. She stands up in the audience and her voice is shaky. She's scared and almost crying. Please, I have kids, I have grandkids. Like, please, like, stop telling people climate change is fake. And he like yells at her to sit down. Climate change is not real. It's like made up. And it's like if you search his name, Dan Pena, he's like some billionaire. And if you watch this video, there's people that have a lot of money and huge levels of influence that are misleading large groups of people. And it's slowing down our potential progress and lowering our chances of humanity's survival. And we're all going to suffer because of these people that, it's so tragic that we're seeing this happen right in front of us. And
what they're teaching them a lot of times is itself really horrific. They're teaching that it's just a made up thing that liberals are using to install one world government. Well, if you really believed that, you would be afraid. If you really thought, this whole thing is just made up and the only reason that they're doing it is for evil, that would scare you. But that's for the wrong reason. That's like so wicked to do that to people, to play with their minds in that way. And here we are in the information age, and people can get away with, putting that information out, and a lot of people live by it. It's truly sad. So, getting the right information out there is important.
And so when we talk about right information and wrong information, I guess we would, are we getting the wrong information? So we would think, how do you know your information is correct? Because I guess we spend our entire lifetime, to this point,
good question,
learning different things, like whether it's through conversations, whether it's through books and reading and research. So I personally have not only watched a lot of documentaries and YouTube videos, I've done my own research and watched, so there's like the NASA websites, but also just seeing things out in nature. So it doesn't really take, nowadays, because things are spiraling out of control, it doesn't take learning about it online. You could just think like places that it used to snow, or you can think, I just went through 3 hurricanes in 4 years and I lost my house twice. I mean, there's, scientists said once we started seeing the impacts of climate change, it was going to be too late to stop it. And we're now seeing all these impacts, and we're desperately trying to stop it because, so your information, do you read a lot of books? Do you watch a lot of YouTube videos?
Sure.
You went to school and you studied this? Or?
Yeah. Are you talking about climate change specifically, or just in general?
In general.
Well, of course, the best place to get your information is first source information. So directly from. So like if I'm reading a book, like Bob Woodward, as a journalist, will go and actually spend time. Like for Plan of Attack, he spent time in the White House with the president and Cheney. Okay. So that's first source information. From a reliable source. Okay. That's, to me the most, that's the highest end. But of course, in terms of climate change, science is science. Yeah. And of course, science isn't always, science can make mistakes, and it's not foolproof. But when you have a robust science that's gone on for 40 or 50 years, continuing to replicate the same data, you can be pretty secure in that.
And then there's a scientific review, and it used to be 97% scientist consensus, and now I think we're at 99%. And there's a really good video that explains all this if anyone's curious. You just type up, it's okay to be smart. So you go into Facebook and you type up, it's okay to be smart, 97% climate change, and it'll come up with this video. And it's a public service announcement that was put together by PBS or whatever, and it breaks down the whole scientific consensus on climate change and how they came up with all of that. And I know that there's a lot of scientific reviews and studies.
Right, there were at least 3 papers that I know of that came up with that number. And I tend to rely somewhat on experts, like the NASA website on climate is fabulous. And for me, if NASA is going to put their name on that, there has to be some credibility to it. I just don't believe that, an organization as large as NASA would just sort of just lie to people for decades. That just doesn't make any sense.
Because the New World Order thing that people are falling back on, and the United Nations is planning all this conspiracy theory stuff.
Agenda 31 or whatever that is.
I think it's 32. No, 30.
Something.
No. Is it 25?
It's a John Birch Society thing. Yeah, that says,
Okay, so regardless of all of this, there is going to be more disasters in the future because there's disasters happening right now. So there's ready.gov. It's a government website. You can type a disaster, like you can type up floods ready, and it stands for ready.gov, blizzards ready in Google, forest fires ready, and it'll bring you to these websites, tornadoes, hurricanes, etc. So these websites, this government website, ready.gov, has information on how to prepare for these particular disasters, because we are going to continue to see more blizzards, more superstorms, of course, maybe slightly, sometimes unrelated to climate change, earthquakes, but not necessarily when you're referring to fracking. So if you research some of this, hopefully people can be more prepared, and they can follow some of these bullet points and these step-by-step instructions to help protect their family and friends. And the most frustrating thing to me about climate change is it's going to get so bad if we don't stop it that I am not going to be able to protect my family and my friends and the people I love and I care the most about. And we're going to continue to see more disasters, but we could at least become slightly more educated. And this has to do with balance. Instead of watching a movie or your favorite TV show, maybe you dedicate some of your time to researching how to be prepared and be more resilient. Because if you need help from first responders and aid organizations after disaster, then they can't help other people that are maybe less fortunate than you, or have a disability, or elderly, or women and children, and all that. So I recommend checking out that website, possibly taking the Red Cross course or the CERT course. But the number one thing that I recommend to everyone is to have a bug out bag. Now, a bug out bag stands for, BOB. BOB stands for bug out bag, and they call it BOB for short. It's a combination of different items that you can start by packing in the side of your house or in a closet, spare bedroom, garage, like some sort of bag or Rubbermaid container or box, and you start putting items in it. You can put first aid stuff, you can start putting toothbrush, soap, shampoo, some Band-Aids, you can put some warm layer of clothes, maybe a towel, maybe you have an extra water container, you can put that in there. You can put some canned food, matches, candles, maybe a blanket, a sleeping bag, maybe a pocket knife, water purification tablets if you have it. You can start taking different stuff from your house that you have too many of, and you can start putting them in this kit. Eventually you get a backpack and you start putting it in the backpack. The best thing would be to Google image search bug out bag, and you can see a really great list, or go into the images and you can see different things you could add to it. You might want to add a saw or a tent or other things in the future. But a bug out bag is if there is a forest fire, you can grab the bug out bag or BOB and you can put it in your vehicle and you can get out of the disaster area. The 13,000 homes that were lost in the Camp Fire in the Paradise area, if they had bug out bags, they would have been much more resilient. Bug out bags, it's also good to have your birth certificate, to have your ID or an extra ID, maybe some money, some medications, a spare pair of reading glasses. A radio is really good, a flashlight's good, and so some of those things. So I definitely recommend a bug out bag, because we are going to see more disasters in the future, regardless if we stop climate change tomorrow or not. There's going to be more disasters.
Anyway, but when you go into these crisis areas, what are the top three things? What are the top three things that people need and want? I can think of the first one that I can imagine would be water.
Well, it definitely depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
So when I was in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, there was a lot of water shortages, but not as bad as in the Philippines. In the Philippines, They were like desperately searching for water, like fighting and robbing people for water because there was no water. And the natural aquifers were pumped beyond their capability to like self-recharge, so it was like getting saltwater intrusion. So there was people were breaking open coconuts everywhere to have fresh water sources, and that was before the aid organizations and the military came in with sufficient water purification systems and techniques of purifying and cleaning water. So water's an important one. Well, there's different categories. There's food, shelter, protection, first aid's really important. It depends on the disaster. So again, if you go to that ready.gov, that most important thing, if you're in a blizzard-prone region, is probably going to be warm clothes or a blanket. It's not going to be water because you have snow. So it's good to kind of know your region. In California, we have forest fires. So you would go to the ready.gov and you would see what's important for a fire. A radio would probably be really important because you can hear what information, emergency information they're providing, so where you should go and what you should do. And again, if you are dependent on medication, your medication might be the most important thing. So just thinking about that's probably good. I think it's not, it varies from disaster
that's a good
to
point. It depends on where you are. That's a really good point. But it's so good to be reminded, because in the moment when it happens and you haven't done it, you'll be so sad.
It's insurance. Having a bug out bag.
You have car insurance, you have home insurance, you have renter's insurance. You need this insurance.
Yeah, it's just a bag. You could have it in your car, your office, your home. You could have a couple of them. And again, you go on Google, there's so many great images that just show you exactly what you can put in it. That'll help you, help yourself and other people.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show here, and I want to give you a chance. If there's anything you haven't covered about climate change, or if there's any particular, what's the last thing that you would like to sign off with, that get across? What are you feeling?
So I've been doing this for almost 2 decades, and this is overwhelming for myself and other environmentalists, and like I said, climatologists, and all the students that participated in the climate protests around the world, and the people that are impacted the most, like in other countries, developing countries that can't just build a seawall and they can't just jump in their car to escape a hurricane. We're in a crucial, time-sensitive situation where we're passing the global warming tipping point, and we're either gonna be successful and solve this globally and collectively, or we're going to look back and have regrets and be depressed and be suffering and watching our family and friends die in front of us, and we're going to be thinking, we wish we could have done more, or I could have done more. What could I have done different? And I want to be comfortable knowing that I did everything that I could during this crucial point in time. And the children of today are going to look up to their grandparents and their parents, and they're going to say, what did you do when you knew about climate change and we were passing this irreversible tipping point? What steps did you take? And I wish more people would take this crisis seriously. We're not leftists, we're not alarmists, we're people that are looking at reality, and we're dealing with a reality-based crisis. And we need global action.
Yeah, we're responsible to each other because we're a community.
We are a community.
And that's the way we thrive, when we're a community and we work together. And if we want to go on together, this is the way to go on together. And it won't be that hard to fix, actually, if we just decide to do it. In fact, we could all have solar. Can you imagine if you didn't have a utility bill? Doesn't that sound fabulous?
Do you have a utility bill?
No, we don't have a utility bill. How many of you love your utility bill? And you want to keep your utility, because you love spending that $500 or $600. Nobody. So we're going to do something about this. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Yeah, thank you.